You know, I was really beginning to lose hope in Trump. I was like, dang, man, what the heck? I don't know what scared him into behaving. Don't really care. Not really. But I tell you what, in this little press conference that we're watching, we tend to pay attention more to the wingman than we do to Trump because that's his cheerleading section. All these stupid policy decisions that he was doing. Well, his wingmen, that was their babies. Trump has told you many, many times that he likes getting smart people and then putting them in charge of stuff and just letting them do whatever that smart people do. Well, smart people doesn't necessarily mean they have your best interest at heart. Nutlicker and little boy Rubio, whom I have never been a fan of. Wow. Just wow on this, and you guys are going to be so excited to see this.
Thank you.
Well, here they are. The Economist and foreign policy. That's these two guys in a nutshell. For those of you who do not know, I guess I'll explain it better. Lutnick is the economist. Rubio is the foreign policy. Well, a little bit of the foreign policy. He's not all of it, but he's enough. He's a very good puppet. But as I've told you before, Rubio's spine is as strong as the dog that's backing him.
Giving it a lot of press. That's good. We had a great event. This was something very special. And I want to thank.
We had a great event. I just love this. Look at Lutnick. We had a great event.
This was something very special. And I want to thank President Macron.
I'll go back more.
A lot of press. That's good. We had a great event. This was something very special.
He looks away. Something very special. We had a great event. Instantly wants to go away. So it wasn't that great. I just love it. Freaking Rubio can't even bring a smile to his face. Oh, show them no emotion. They read me like a book. We're not going to focus on this entire thing. That would be very, very boring. But for some of these policy decisions that are starting to come out, or at least Trump's pushback to his cabinet that he himself picked, which is kind of like, dude, fire them. But alas, he won't. We're going to keep the douchebags and the tiny hats in charge and just verbally say some very, very nice things that makes all of us Americans very, very happy. But I want to see it in action. I do not want to hear it.
And I want to thank President Macron, Bridget, his really lovely wife, fantastic person, for welcoming us to France for an extremely successful G7 summit. I would say it's one of the most successful. And this meeting could not have come at a better time. On Sunday, we reached an agreement with Iran that achieves everything we set out to accomplish, everything and much more. Ending the current conflict, reopening, accomplish everything. On Sunday, not have come at a better time. On Sunday, we reached an agreement with Iran that achieves everything we set out to accomplish, everything and much more.
So, Lutnick, he's the yes man. For those of you not seeing the older videos, he is the yes man. He's like the bobblehead of yes every time Trump does something that he is so ecstatic about. Like a freaking clapping seal he is. That head is going a mile a minute up and down in the positive and smiling from ear to ear. Not today. I got the chugga 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 chugga. It's like the Trump train came back all of a sudden. And I tell you what, I'm here for it, baby. I don't care what the tiny hats have to say about you and Epstein at this point. You do what you promised, baby. I am with you all the way. That does include some, justice. But I am so happy when Mr. Lutnick ain't smiling like some happy seal. Then Rubio, he's so stone-faced, he don't know what to do. His handlers aren't very happy, I'm sure.
Ending the current conflict, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, and preventing Iran from ever obtaining a nuclear weapon. That's what it was all about. That was about 99%. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They can't develop
they ain't doing nothing.
Have a nuclear weapon.
They're not happy about this.
At the same time, with this announcement or
fall,
close
baby,
to it,
fall.
as people started to think it was going to happen when Iran was making some very positive statements. The stock market has surged to record highs, picking up thousands of points over the last short period of time. Thousands of points.
Well, look, Nick ain't even happy about that one.
Like it has never dropped before, at levels that went in numbers down $7, down $8. They've never seen anything like that. But if we didn't do this deal,
I don't know what that was, but he just gave a
down $8.
watch Lutnick.
They've never seen anything.
A little side-eye glance. Something is in that. That would be like one of those super sleuth things, like dig, baby, dig. There's something in it. I don't know what it is, but dig. Lutnick ain't happy. Dig, baby. It's always a happy day when Lutnick ain't happy.
Like that. But if we didn't do this deal, we could have dropped more bombs for another 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 years. You would never have the Hormuz Strait open. You would never have success. Your market would have, instead of going up,
Oh my God, that is an eye roll from that fool. Look at that.
your market would have, instead of
Look at that. How are you going to have somebody around you like that? I know they're probably still haters in the comments. See? Whatever. Bite me. But when you guys sit there and look for all the normal ones, and you're like, what in the world? Why is he doing what he's doing? Here they are. Your two wingmen. It's them. It's always them. I told you guys before. So y'all be careful when you attack him. Be careful. Not that you shouldn't. You should always hold your leader's feet to the fire. You do not ever blindly follow anyone. Only morons blindly follow. And only morons think they know it, what's going on. Always hold their feet to the fire. And this is why. Because they got wingmen that they stupidly appointed.
going up at levels that nobody's ever seen before, would go down at levels that nobody ever saw before, maybe except for 1929 or whatever. And all the tough guys don't realize that this wasn't a 3-month deal. This was years.
I'll tell you what, Rubio's giving off vibes that he got in trouble or something. He's very upset. And I don't mean like he got in trouble by Trump. Because when I look at him, so there, a big old breath in, breath out, just kind of lost looking around. Usually, the person that is stressing you or that you've gotten in trouble from, you tend to avoid them at all costs. And you try to make yourself small to the person that you got in trouble with. The fact that he's not making himself small to Trump means he got in trouble by somebody else. And I would be very curious to find out who that is. I'm sure they wear a tiny hat. I'm almost positive.
You know why? Because I was the one that killed General Soleimani. And if I didn't kill General Soleimani, we probably wouldn't be talking right now about this deal, because he was a mad genius. They never were able to replace him. But a lot of people forget that. The tough guys, the tough guys that would drive the country right down the tubes. The past 2 days have provided a chance to discuss the details of this historic
he is
agreement with many
not
of
a
our
happy
closest
camper,
friends
that
and allies,
Lutnick.
including the G7 nations and many presidents and prime
All right,
ministers.
I'm done.
As you saw, Prime Minister Modi was here. We had a long talk. He's a great guy. They are thrilled that we made a deal. Every one of them. There's not one nation that came to us and said, please, sir, keep dropping bombs on them. Please keep dropping bombs. The stupid people say that. But I'm thrilled to report, and by the way, those last 2 days.
That was so good. Stupid people do that.
Bonds. The stupid people say that. But
that was a very slow blink from Lutnick. Oh, I want to see Rubio too.
People say that. But I'm thrilled to report, and by the way, those.
He's not really phased too much. Lutnick, stupid people say that. Oh, damn. I know I wasn't going to do this whole press conference, but I just really like it when the real weasels just are like, eh. My heart is warmed. My soul has been comforted. My faith is slowly being restored. That's not to say that we ain't got some real hellfire coming. You mess with a bull, you get the horns. They might have some tiny hats, but they got some big ass horns.
The stock market is more brilliant than anybody there is, including the people on the stage, other than me, of course. Let's see. I don't know. What do you think, Scott? Is the stock market more brilliant than you?
No, sir.
Oh, that's a terrible statement. All right. The stock market is quite brilliant. And every time we said something amazing, like we're going to settle, it would go up. And every time we said something negative, like, guess what, we're not going to be able to settle, it would go down very big, Peter, right? Very, very big. Tells you something. And you know, I've studied presidents, some good, some bad, some great. Not too many are great. And some really bad. We had one just recently. And the one president I did not want to be was the late, great Herbert Hoover. I didn't want that. And who knows what would have happened. But bad things happen. So the past 2 days have provided a chance to discuss the details of the deal with the closest friends and allies, the heads of countries. They were all here, a lot of them. Far more than the 7, as you know, a lot of them. And they put out a statement. I think President Macron, who did a great job, by the way, did a really fan. Him and Bridget, they did a great job. But they all put out statements saying they love this deal because they want to see it over. And they love the fact that the hormones, don't forget, if we were going to drop bombs, let's say we went another month, another 2, 3 months, maybe weeks, could be another 3 months, could be whatever. What do you have left? Got maybe nothing, but you don't have, the strait will never be open because people that own billion-dollar ships, these ships cost $1 billion. They don't like sailing ships or having their ships participate when you go up the coast and you go through the strait and there are rockets flying over your head. They want to protect their $1 billion investment. You wouldn't have oil for maybe years. These are stupid people. But nobody was tougher than me. Nobody hit Soleimani. You know, when I hit Soleimani, people thought that was the biggest thing to happen in the Middle East for 50 years. That was the biggest event. He was the
So I watched that through. I wanted to see how much of our two weasels were involved in this strait thing.
The strait, and there are rockets flying over your head. They want to protect their $1 billion investment. You wouldn't have oil for maybe years. These are stupid people. But nobody was tougher than me. Nobody.
These are stupid people, slow to react on Lutnick, but he did give a positive sign on it. But he's not smiling about it. So it's, I guess you could say sometimes the man is not completely retarded. Rubio, on the other hand.
You wouldn't have oil for maybe years. These are stupid people. But nobody was tougher than me. Nobody hit Soleimani. You know, when I hit Soleimani, people thought...
No reaction. It kind of makes me wonder if he's in charge of anything. He's just a pretty boy. Maybe we just brought him in for South America.
But that was the biggest thing to happen in the Middle East for 50 years. That was the biggest event. He was the boss of Iran and respected, but he was a mad genius. He was a genius, the father of the roadside bomb. When you see young men, and in some cases women, mostly men, walking around without legs, without arms, with a face that's been blown to smithereens, it's Soleimani, 95%, 96.2 they say or something, 95%. That was Soleimani did it. Happened to come from Iran, and I blew him up. You remember that? I blew him up in the Valley of Death. He got off his plane, and we followed him. And in all fairness, because they've been wonderful to me, Israel, but they didn't want to do that attack. They were all set the night before the attack. They informed me they didn't want to do it, so I had to make a decision. I made the decision to do it. But it was a joint venture, as we say in the
I wonder
real
if
estate
Soleimani
business.
was one of those
It was a joint venture between Israel and us. We
triple
studied it
agents,
for a
double
month. We knew
agents.
what plane he was going to be on almost a month before. He only traveled on commercial airliners, the big ones with lots of people, because he knew.
Because he's not given much of a positive on this Lutnick about
But we knew he was
Soleimani.
going to be on that plane. We followed him, and then Israel informed me that they won't do it. And I had to
And
make a
there he
decision.
goes
I
with the
had
positive on that one.
some very good generals, and not the ones you see on television. Very good. And I want to thank also Pete Hegseth and General Raisin Kane, who's phenomenal. Okay, these guys are phenomenal. They can't be better. But I
The
asked
fact
all
that he's
generals,
shaking
and I
his
said
head
to
on
them, well,
Hegseth
if
and
Israel's not going to do
Kane,
it, we're all prepared.
now
Do we
suspicious.
do it? Do you like doing it or not? He says, sir, if you want to do it, we can do it. How well? We'll do it just as well or better. Do it ourselves. We don't need anybody. So we took out Soleimani. One of the biggest.
And you see, every
events
time he
that
mentions
happened
taking out
in
Soleimani,
the Middle East,
Lutnick
maybe
never
ever,
gives a
but they say
positive.
50 years, they say 100 years. I was with the Prime Minister of Pakistan. He said it's maybe the biggest event that has ever taken place. Nobody could believe it. So that's when it started. It didn't start like 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago. And Obama wouldn't do it. What Obama did was he did the JCPOA. He loaded up a plane with $1,700,000,000 in green cash from banks all over Washington.
You know, there's a slight
Maryland,
smile
and
on that one for Lutnick.
Virginia.
Stop looking at
They
Rubio.
were
He's
stripped of
retarded.
all
We're
their
going
cash.
to
They had no
Lutnick.
cash to do payrolls. It all went into a Boeing 757, a wonderful plane, and they flew it to Iran. And they gave it out to people. They bribed people. They thought they were going to get it done. Then they gave billions and billions of dollars after that. And they got a deal that was a road to a nuclear weapon. I get so angry, I guess. I'm allowed to get angry when I watch the Democrats. They talk about it all the time. We had this deal.
There he is. He's cutting eyes
We
again
had
at
a
him.
deal that was going to give them legally a nuclear weapon. And if that happened, Israel would have been blown away. And in all fairness to Bibi Netanyahu, who happens to be a good man, gets a little excited sometimes. But he happens to be a very good man. We've had an amazing partnership. He's been an amazing prime minister. We have a little dispute over Lebanon. I say, you can do a little softer touch, Bibi. You don't have to knock down a building every time somebody walks into it that's from Hezbollah. But it's been an amazing partnership. But he will say, we're the big partner.
See,
He's the very
no
small partner.
positive on
That's
that
true.
one. Nothing reining in BB
So
Netanyahu.
he came to the country and he begged Barack Hussein Obama, the president, not to do the JCPOA. He said it could be the end of Israel, and it would have been if I didn't come along. And Obama didn't listen to him. Bibi actually went to Congress and pleaded with them, and he got nowhere. And they had this horrible deal that was horrible for Israel, and that's where it stood. And then I came along and I terminated that deal. It had very little time left. You know, it was a short-term deal. You know, with countries, you need hundreds of years. You don't need 8 years and 9 years. This isn't like...
Oh, he's really chomping on his lips now. I don't know if I really want to do this whole thing. It's pretty much the same thing. I'm sure most of you are kind of bored. You can watch this now and just look at Lutnick and you know, because I've told you enough to see it. Spoiler alert, there's a point in this when he's talking about we got 4 more weeks before all the reserves run out. And we're talking about oil people. What was the news article? I think it was like, wasn't it 60 days after that happens, the food runs out or something like that? I can't remember. These two knuckleheads on either side of this man do not care. That is not part of their, happy agenda in life. It really kind of makes you wonder, especially you watched them as much as you have in this little body language review of them. You're seeing who they are. And these are the people that Trump decided to be the people that tell him what to do. I think sometimes we're probably going to do these as live streams. I wonder how long that'll take before the satanic cult comes and tries to take me out. Oh. He also got on here where he's talking about, they're going to have ballistic missiles, which definitely is different than nuclear weapons. But come on. Who actually believes they don't have one? This is ridiculous. The parrots in his ears aren't real happy about that one either. If anything, y'all should be screaming for him to fire these lunatics. There's a big difference from studying and theorizing to what happens in practice and reality. And these two fools only know theory. All right, I'm done it. And I think another long one like this, we may just do live streams. I'm sure there's going to be one coming up. May the Lord bless you and keep you. In Jesus' name.